I wanted this to be very laid back and just talk,
Chill.
and then we just build as the conversation goes. Because we can't really do anything, because it's
Mm.
our episode. Is this the first one that people are going to listen to? Yeah, this should be the first
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Love that. Love that.
Mm, mm. Okay.
You're listening to the Real Life Podcast. We're an interactive show which tackles everything life sciences, from conservation biology to zoology and botany.
Our podcast is where environmental awareness meets fun and chatter.
So come and listen to us as real life scientists tackle real life topics. So, I guess we could just start by saying hi.
Hey. All right. Cool.
Hi, Sidani. Yeah.
Maya.
So, hello, listeners. I'm Maya,
Hi, people in the internet space. I'm Sydney.
and this is the Real Life Podcast. Wow, I can't believe we're saying this.
Wow.
I'm
I
gonna say
can't
we.
believe this is a
This is like a actual. Yeah, this is the thing that we actually made,
yeah,
created.
our little
Crazy.
child.
Um, yeah, that's true. We're having a baby.
Yeah,
This is our baby.
our first little
I love
baby.
that for us.
Yeah. So,
Um,
what is this about, Maya? Hold on. Before we go this, who are we? Who are we?
okay. All right, we can start there. So my name is Maya. I am a third year student at the University of the West Indies Mona campus,
Mm,
with my major being animal biology and my minor, sorry, being psychology. I am a student leader. I am a creator. I am a lover of food.
mm,
Yeah, that's the short list of what I am. I don't want to. I mean, I have a whole professional bio with all fancy
oh,
words
oh,
describing
okay.
me, but we're not gonna use that. This is a podcast. You guys are my homies, so
Mm.
that's really who I am.
Oh, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Today when we decided we were gonna record this, I was like, "What are you gonna say when Maya asks who is Sydney?" I'm like, "All right, Sydney." Oh, my name is Sydney, by the way. If that wasn't clear, I'm Sydney. I am also a student at the UMona, also in third year, also doing an animal biology degree with a minor in psychology. So if you didn't know before, that's how Maya and I know each other. Um, I am an Adventist, but um, I don't know. I don't really lead with that. I am a Pathfinder at heart. I love that kind of stuff, camping, hiking. That is my little forte.
It's
Uh,
crazy.
I'm a lover of animals. I'm a lover of nature. I'm a lover of all that goes with that. So I guess you can also see why this is our little child that we're working on here.
Yeah. So, should we tell them the story of how we came up with this podcast idea?
How did we
Well, I
come up with
think
this podcast idea? What's your
um
story? Give me your
okay.
story.
So if I remember correctly, what had happened was I constantly, anytime there was an issue surrounding the environment and I heard about it, I was like, why is this happening? I was like, why are we allowing this to happen in Jamaica?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, as a student leader, I just felt like this sense of responsibility. Like, okay, I believe in the thing about, like, if you see a problem, you should be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem, right? So if I'm
Right.
complaining that there's a lot of plastic out there on the road, then I need to be like, okay, I'm not gonna litter. So
Right.
if I see that issue where I was in my second year I became the life sciences representative. I just realized that the stuff that I would know as life sciences representative, I knew that the average life sciences student did not know that information. And I
Mm-hmm.
just felt this need that, like, we need to make sure that everybody is privy to this. It's not a case where, oh, some people have this information locked up and some people have the knowledge and then everybody else is just out there fending for themselves. Up to today,
Mm-hmm.
somebody asked me what I'm going to do after I graduate, which we'll get to later.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I just and she started by saying, oh, sorry, I don't mean to be intrusive. I'm like, that's not intrusive. Like, if you need help figuring out what you're going to do when you get your degree, and that's a right that you have as a student, to know what you're going to do with your degree when you're done.
Makes sense. We pay a
um
whole heap of money for it.
yeah, so then I was like, where can we talk about topics? I was like, oh, I should do a podcast. But I did not want to do a podcast by myself, and I just, like, the idea just came to me, like, yo, reach out to Sidoni and just ask her to do a podcast. And
Like me
I went into Sidoni's
specifically.
yes, and I went
Wow.
into Sidoni's chat,
That
and
was
I made this
divine,
long voice
actually.
note. And I was like, I made this long voice note, and both of us are Christians, so both of us, believe in God and God speaking to people. And I went and I made this long voice note, and I was like, Sidani, this is weird, but I really want to do a podcast with you, and I want to do a podcast
Divine.
specifically surrounding, so, yeah,
Can we just
specifically
acknowledge how that
surrounding,
was divine? Wow. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Mm-hmm.
I did that. And then when I sent it, Sidani was like, this is crazy, because the other day I was like, I want to do something with my.
It's
So we're
so
like, oh,
crazy.
so it's sealed. So, like, you wanted to do a podcast with me, I wanted to do a podcast with you. So we're like, okay,
Well, I
we're gonna
didn't
do this.
necessarily want to do a podcast. Let me tell you guys. Let me tell you. So, I am a lover of animals and nature, as I said before, and it really, really, literally breaks my heart when I see issues happening, when I see things happening, and like there's literally nobody that can speak for the environment.
Dev.
It can't speak for itself, and there's nobody really standing up to say, let's take care of the animals. I mean, there are organizations, don't get me wrong, but as Maya was saying in her version of the story, that it's like there's a sector of people that are aware of the issues and keeping the information, and then the rest of the world is just like doing what they want to do. So it was always in my heart that I want to like help people to see that, hey, you can also have an impact on all these issues we're over here talking about. And I was always like, I always knew I wanted to do something in the internet space. And one day I just got up, I was just like, Maya is really cool, and Maya is like very vocal just like me. I should link up with her and maybe like tackle some of these issues. But I
Dev.
didn't say anything to her. I just had the thought. And
You see,
literally about a week after I had the thought initially, and not having said anything at all to anybody, then Maya came into my inbox. I was just like, hey, we should do something. I'm just like, whoa, nah, that is divine. How could you put it
Dev,
that?
Dev, nobody could be like, oh, and that's, I love how God works like that. Like, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I absolutely love that God did that at that time. And now that we're starting, this is season 1. We don't know where this podcast is going to go, but I mean, if it is that, and we want to say that this is something that God wanted us to do, right? So if
Yeah,
it is that God wants this to continue to, then we also have to be faithful that, hey, after we finish season 1, there might be a season 2. We don't know, we're leaving UA. But I mean, issues with the environment are always going to be out there. Things with life sciences
definitely.
are always going to be out there. So we could end up doing a season 2. We're doing this remotely, so we're not in the same place.
Yeah,
We're in a new normal, so even if there's a Panera bread or there's not a Panera bread, we can still
we can
record
still
remote.
go on. If it's
So
one
we
thing
might
I have appreciated about this pandemic, though, is how it really opened us up to like different methods of doing things. Because I mean,
just
physical, like I feel like a year ago, well, I remember, I don't know, I won't call any names because I don't know if she's comfortable with me saying her name, but I have a friend that goes to UE, And I remember in second year we had a course to do, and she got sick and she was in the hospital. And I think we did the first lab for the course, or the first three labs. She ended up missing because she was in the hospital. And I remember her asking the teacher for the course if it is that she could do the labs and email them to the teacher. And the teacher was just like, no, you have to be present for the labs, yada, yada, yada. And
And now,
long story short, she ended up having to drop the course because she couldn't be present, or she had already missed the first couple labs. And funny enough, how she had to redo the course this semester, and everything was fully online, and she had to
mm,
do the labs at home and email them to the teacher to be marked. So I'm just like, the pandemic has just made so many more things possible, even though they could have been possible before. We just didn't see the possibilities. So it's sad, but I'm glad for it.
like I, that's how I feel because before I don't think any of us, including people in the faculty, right? So when we first went online, as I said at the time, I was life sciences rep, and like the whole time my focus was on, okay, how are we going to translate labs where we spend 6 hours, usually in first year, 6 hours in a lab doing dissections, drawings, this and that. How are they going to translate that into online? What? And then how is that even going to relate remotely to what we would have done face to face? And I mean, for some of the labs, honestly, it falls short, and they really can't do anything else because it's either you take precaution and you say, okay, we're gonna have to put in the substitute, or you don't take any precaution and you say, it'll be fine, just a little flu. Corona isn't really a virus. And then, everybody gets infected. And I think if you was supposed to have an outbreak of the coronavirus, that would be so as in an outbreak among students,
Mm-hmm.
that would be so scandalous for them. I mean, UE has been in scandals before, and I want to stay away from UE name because I'm still a student there. But in scandals
Girl.
before, and they've been able to recover. But I mean, if there was supposed to be an outbreak, that would be negligence, and so it's only fair that they have to say, okay, we probably won't be able to do that. And then now, I mean, it's been so long. This is our third semester online, and I still
It's
cannot
so
believe
funny
I
because
can't
it still
function
feels like just,
yesterday.
well, I mean, it was last year. Wow, 1 year ago almost.
Yeah,
But yeah, three semesters.
yeah. And
Crazy.
I just,
We're no experts at doing this online thing. So
are we? Are we
hopefully,
really?
I.
Yeah. But it's a trip. It's really a trip because it's just like when I was thinking about how we used to just. I mean, I thought about it like I'm looking at the labs that we have now, and I'm like,
Mhm.
if we were supposed to be doing this in person, most definitely we would be complaining in the lab because I mean,
Oh,
6 hours on
for
your
sure.
feet, rushing, trying to find a specimen in the microscope, and you don't know what specimen this is, and all those things.
Mhm.
I mean, you doing that, definitely can be stressful face to face. But at the same time, I was thinking about it. I was like, we took advantage of that because now
Oh, we
there are
did.
persons who are in their second year of university and have never dissected anything in their life, or the most
Oh,
that they've done is some micro, because in their first year, remember, first
they
year,
were
second semester.
online.
Yeah, so they were online, and then now
Yeah.
the in second year is the first time that they're going to be able to open up a specimen and see this and see that. I mean, so wow, that's crazy because these are skills that we want to be, to develop, and
Mhm. I mean,
it's
just as animal scientists,
yeah, you know.
you
So
you
it's it's
think,
it's wild. So
wow.
I was like, yes, it was stressful to have to try and dissect it, like get this crab and open up the crab shell and try and find the nervous system of the crab. And yeah, and it stings, and you're getting crab meat all over yourself, and you don't know this thing
Uh,
that looks like a little
you're
hole is
giving me
supposed to be,
flashbacks. Ah.
like, this is
Yo.
supposed to be a nerve ending or whatever this is supposed to be, a nerve cord or whatever, and it looks like It doesn't even look
To
like what
this
you would
day, I have not seen that crab
consider.
nerve. I am
Yeah.
sorry. I butchered about
This
three
is
crabs
supposed
that
to
day.
yeah,
I think
same.
maybe it's
This is
the
supposed
Adventist in me, but I just could not with that crab. I'm sorry. R.I.P. to that crab.
to like this is supposed to be a heart, but it looks like a piece. Like it looks like a
Right?
pea, a single pea. And you're just like, what, how was I supposed to do that? How was I supposed to know what that was? But at the same time, just learning what was wrong helped you to learn what was right, and doing that in person, you know. But now
Yeah.
you're online, you're already looking at the right thing because they don't give you the dissected diagram already. You're
Yeah.
already looking at the dissected.
There's no real challenge for you to find it for yourself.
Yeah, yeah. There's no challenge. I mean, some lecturers making it challenging, but there's no challenge. So yeah, we take advantage of the face to face, and it also shows you that really and truly students cannot be pleased because if we're face to face, we'll be complaining. When we're online, we're complaining. Any decision that is made is a complaint. So we really can't be
Yeah.
satisfied, honestly. So this is something that we call the real, and it's where we do a couple warm up questions just to get our guests. But right now, both of us are guests, warmed up and just to get them in a mood to talk, to conversate with us. So my first warm up question to you, Silani, is what is one fact about you that nobody would expect?
One fact about me. Hmm. Oh, that's really hard. A fact about me.
Do you
Let
have
me
a
think.
hidden talent? Do you have a
A hidden talent. I mean, I bake. I guess you couldn't know that by looking at me. I like to bake. Uh, I don't bake a lot now because I don't want to encourage myself to like be eating the sweets a lot. But I like to bake. I can bake. I learned to bake at camp. I went to camp one year and they were like, "Hey, sports day, we're going to have a competition where you have to bake a potato salad." And nobody could do it. And I was one of the older females in the house, as I was about maybe 15, 16. And they were like, "Okay, well, since you're like one of the older females, we can't have the kids around the fire. You're going to be doing a lot of the cooking." So I remember the lady from the kitchen giving me the potato and a small piece of yam and a little bit of flour and all the rest of the ingredients. I was just like, grate them, mix them up, and put it on the fire. And I was like, all right. And from then I was just like, oh, but me never really do nothing but mix up some things and put it on the fire. And I have an oven at home. So I remember I came home from camp that summer and I went to the kitchen and I grated a potato and a little piece of yam and mix it up same way with little sugar and little milk and little coconuts and put it in the oven and it come out good. I'ma just continue to do it. I'ma do corn pudding, I'ma do cornmeal pudding. I'ma realize, oh my girl, you're a baker. So
oh
I bake all cheesecake, I bake bread pudding, I bake banana bread too much time, I can't even count. Like I'm a baker.
I love that. I love that. You discovered your hidden talent. That's lovely.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm, I didn't know that. I didn't think of that as a hidden talent. But all right. So
One.
my first question for you, Maya, what was your childhood career choice?
My childhood career choice and my career choice for my entire life has been to be a veterinarian. So from a
Really?
very young, yes. So and that was something that was
Wow.
so I've always wanted to be a veterinarian, and I wanted to be a veterinarian from when I was very young, because
Huh.
I was in class and the teacher asked, what do you want to be when you grow up, to everybody in the class, and I grew up and I stood up and I just said I want to be a veterinarian because I love animals, and then that stuck with me. So I was the girl that was in grade
Wow.
6, literally in grade 6, and I looked up on the internet schools to go to for veterinary medicine, and
Wow.
I planned out my life. I wanted to go to Harvard Veterinary School. I wanted to become a
Oh wow.
veterinarian. Yeah, and just live my
Mm-mm.
life and stuff like that. So I have always been a person that really and truly thought my life had to go a particular way. So I was like, okay, I have to do this, I have to do these steps and do that. And so when I ended up coming to the University of the West Indies, Mona, I'm not gonna lie, it was not where I wanted to be. I was like, oh, okay, well, only option left. And then I came in and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this first degree to get me to the vet degree, because as you know, anywhere in the world, you usually, well, most places, you usually have to do a first
First
degree
degree.
and then do
Yeah.
veterinary school as grad school, right? And then now
Yeah.
I'm here, um, I may become a mammologist instead of a veterinary, because I think
Wow.
um, at the time, I think my thoughts were that in order to work with animals, I would have to become a vet.
Be
I
a
also
vet.
think,
Yeah.
for the most part, I didn't necessarily want to work with cats and dogs, which is what
Mm.
most veterinarians do in terms of, well, I mean, there are different kinds of veterinarians, obviously, but a lot of the time when we think veterinarian, we think of somebody with either private practice or works in a veterinary hospital. And we're in Jamaica. There is only one veterinary hospital that I know of in Jamaica. Um,
I think no man, there's more than one.
you sure?
But the most popular one is JSPC. There's
No, as in
one in
JSPCA.
Montego Bay.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is JSPCA isn't a hospital. JSPCA is a
Animal shelter.
conservation, yeah, like a shelter, right? So the one
Mm.
that is a hospital is Animal Care Veterinary Hospital. They have two branches,
Oh,
I believe.
wow.
They have one in Kingston, and I think the other one is in Spanish Town. I don't know. They have another branch. Um, but yeah,
Look at me
there probably is
learning.
another hospital in Mobile for you. But yeah, the point is that Jamaica doesn't really have hospitals. So most of the time when you think of vet, you think of them working with those kind of animals, domesticated animals. And as I grew older, I really wanted to work with aquatic animals because I've loved swimming. I started to swim when I was 3 years old. And I've loved being in the water. It's where I find peace. And so I was like, I would love to work with aquatic animals, or especially aquatic mammals like dolphins, whales, stuff like that. And so that
Mm.
really is my dream career, to do that, and then to travel as well. And as I'm learning more about what it means to be an animal scientist, and specifically being a mammologist, which is somebody who would be studying mammals, and then I found out that what I wanted to do in terms of working with aquatic mammals would be a cetologist. um and
Ecology.
yes, a cetologist. And I was like, wow, I will have to explain my career to people for the rest of my life. um
Yeah, because
what
this
makes
is my literal first time hearing that term,
yeah,
and I've been in this field for a minute.
yeah. um
So
So I
yeah.
will be a cetologist, and I mean, I doubt I will introduce and say, "Hi, I'm Maya. I'm a cetologist." Nah, I'll probably just be like, I work with dolphins for a living. But I mean, it doesn't have to be them. I'm trying to be as open-minded now, because in my youth I wasn't as open-minded. In my youth, it was I had to do my life this way. And now that I'm older, which I'm not that much older, because I just stopped being a teenager the other day. But now that I'm older,
Literally.
now that I'm older,
Now
I
that you're
really
older.
decided that if I want to do equine studies, which is horses, I could do equine studies. If I wanted to study land mammals, if I wanted to study tigers and bears, I could. But
Yeah,
I
that's just
mean,
exposure.
yeah, either
Because
exactly,
as you said, like a lot of people are just like they're just not aware.
yeah,
They're just not informed. You just think, oh, I introduced to somebody, I'm doing an animal biodegree. They're like, oh, you're gonna be a vet.
yeah,
I'm like, there's so many other things I could be,
yeah.
but they just don't know.
And then, like, as I grew up, I was like, my passion for conservation. I realized that I wanted to be a vet not just because I like animals, but because I was tired of people ill treating them. Like, honestly, like,
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, I'm not
that's
a
definitely
vegan. I eat meat, and I understand what happens with people who kill meat. But like, if you want to call me a hypocrite for being somebody who loves animals but still eats meat, I accept that title because I love meat. At the same time,
I mean, Animals have different purposes,
Exactly, because
and we're here for all of them.
exactly,
We're here for all of them.
because those animals are reared specifically to be killed. I mean, if you think that's inhumane, they're not humans. But if you think that that's unethical, I mean, we can go into the ethics of what is really ethical in terms of treatment of animals. What I mean is that
I mean, we're gonna get to it in one of these episodes.
probably, yeah. But like, um, when we look at, the animals that are on the street, the dogs, right? Part of the reason why we have so many stray dogs is because of human interference. We are the ones that have started to breed dogs in such a way that they require human attention, and they require humans to reach out to them and help them. And we have a surplus of
Mm.
stray dogs now, and we are part of that problem. We need to help be part of the solution. There are animals like the croc.
Ooh, put that on a t-shirt.
There are crocs, there are iguanas, there are boas in Jamaica that are dying, going extinct because people look at them and are like, "Oh, that's ugly. Let me kill it." Or you see a yellow boa and you're like, that would look very nice in soup. And you just decide.
That would look nice around my neck.
So, like, as much as I love meat, if somebody was supposed to say tomorrow that, hey, cows are going extinct, we can no longer eat cows, then I would stop eating cow meat, because cows probably serve a
Yeah,
purpose other than for us to eat them. Just like different animals serve different
conservation, man.
purposes, you see me? So, like, as I grew up, I started caring more about conservation as well. And
Mhm.
even I talked about my faith earlier. Even as a Christian, like, if I believe that God entrusted the earth to us and that animals are part of that entrustment of what we are supposed to steward over, then I also believe that yes, we have permission to eat the animals, but we also have permission to take care of them and to make sure that what we're doing is balanced, and we're not just killing, 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 but we're also preserving.
Yeah,
We're also conserving, we're also being sustainable, you know? So yeah,
yeah. Love that.
that was a long answer, but that's essentially um
What did I even ask
you're
you?
asking
I completely forgot.
you're asking me
Oh,
about
your childhood career
to
choice.
be. Yeah.
That's funny because you ticked off like three of my questions that I had for you in that one answer.
Crazy. Um so you have had a interesting university experience, and I think it would
Okay.
benefit the listeners if we could talk about what was your university experience, which I mean you're still experiencing, or was your wow, words, what was your university journey like?
Uh, all right. So I started UE in 2016, was
Whew.
it?
I graduated
Yes.
in 2016.
Yeah, it was 2016 when I started UE because I graduated high school in 2014. Then I did 1 year of sixth form and then 1 year of college, and then I came to UA. Yeah, so it was different. It was different when I started. Um, I didn't know what was what. I was like literally a fish out of water. First of all, guys, coming into a new space, not just UE, but in new universities overall, go to orientation. I cannot stress this enough.
You did go to
Go
orientation?
to orientation. I did not. I literally started UE. I went to UE for. Let me not even just. I never even got to the campus
Oh
before.
my
Probably lies. I went to the campus on a school trip before the day I started classes at
god.
UE. I never went to no orientation. I never walked the campus
I'm
before
disappointed.
just to feel out the place. I listen, guys. I'm a testimony here. Go to orientation. Let me tell you, I just knew that school was starting, but I didn't know anything. I wasn't registered. I never know where anything was. I just showed up to school the morning. And I remember I had a friend that was in SciTech, but she was kind of figuring out life on her own too, because she was just starting. And so she was like, hey, come and do my classes with me. First of all, I started UA wanting to do biochemistry because I wanted to be a forensic pathologist. Yes. Yes, I'm on a whole different plane now. But long story short, I my friend wanted to do forensic biotechnology. So I was like, okay, if I want to do forensic pathology, it's not far off from what she's doing. Let me just kind of do what she's doing and then we'll branch off because you have to do a first degree and then go to med, you'll do the second part. So yeah, it was a whole thing. No, I realized that I couldn't do her subject, her courses, sorry, because I didn't have what do you call these things? Prerequisites. I was like, what do you mean I don't have prerequisites? What are those? Guys, I'm I'm encouraging you. Don't waste your time at school. Let me say that in English. Don't waste your time at school. I did it because in my head, I heard that UE can take you with first level CAPE. So when I went to the 1 year of college, I literally wasted my time because I'm like, I got into UE already. I don't need this. Nah, I got to UE and UE was just like, hey, you needed those. So now we're gonna force you to do these other classes because you didn't do those classes in college. And I was like, this is the same equivalent to CAPE, by the way. I didn't do Unit 2 CAPE, or I didn't pass Unit 2 CAPE, so I had to do preliminary courses, which is level 0, which doesn't sound good to anybody. So yeah, 2016, I'm at level 0. Circumstances, I ended up dropping out of school. Not anything academic, by the way, but I dropped out of school, came back 2017, had to do level 0 again. And again, I did not go to orientation or anything. I was just winging it on my own. I didn't want to make friends because I was like in my head, all my friends are like ahead of me. No, I went into depression, guys.
Oh, no.
And it was just rough. It was rough. Like in my head, all my high school friends would be laughing at me because no, I'm below them. First of all, when I came back in 2017, this would mean my high school friends are in second year and I'm coming back and going back into level 0.
Oh no. Okay. That's
So
so
yeah,
you.
like in my head, my friends have a year left and I am just starting and looking at 4 years.
Oh wow. Yeah, because
Yeah, because we would
you
have to
started.
after the level 0, then 1, 2, and
So you
3.
started prelim, or you had.
Yeah.
So you started prelim and then you had to sit out a year and come back and do over prelim.
I do over
Oh god.
prelim. Yeah, yeah. So like my friends, my high school friends, were looking at 1 year left in university, and I'm coming back looking at 4. So I went into like mad
Oh
depression.
god.
I didn't want to go to school, but I forced myself because I told myself, I can't make academic reasons keep me out.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was determined to not fail because
Mm-hmm.
I I can't take failure, and I think this is why I also did not do a lot of work at my 1 year of college because I had previously failed at something in Unit 1 CAPE, and it was my first time failing anything. And I was like, hey, I don't want to fail, so I'm just not gonna try to do anything that I think is difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so as I said, year 0, I went through, didn't make any friends. I talked to one girl for the whole year, and it's because I knew her from the college that I went to before. And I didn't even really talk to her. I just hi and bye. Like I realized she was in my class. If I missed class, I would tell her, hey, can you send me notes,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Year 2, which was actually first year, I still came to school. I didn't talk to anybody until my best friend Gail started UE. And so I would talk to her in the days. Um, and then I met this one girl named Imani. She's also on our team for Real Life Podcast,
Mm-hmm.
Imani. You're
Hey,
probably gonna hear her voice
Manny.
at the end of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I met Imani. Still never really talked to her, but I'm just saying all of this to say, guys, you might feel like you don't want to do something, but I'm gonna just show you how second year, which was my actual third year at UE, or oh,
So your second
because
year.
my third year is my 5th year.
Okay.
So my second year would actually be my third year enrolling at
Wow.
UE, right? And yeah, so my second year went pretty. pretty decent with me deciding that I'm still not gonna talk to anybody. It was just me and Gail, and sometimes Imani if we book her up in the class. But you see that thing called Corona, the
The
panorama.
camera
Oh
bread.
my gosh, guys! I think I said it earlier in this episode, but it's just so amazing. So many amazing things came out of this panoramic. You don't even understand. I was forced to talk to people because we had to make WhatsApp groups and all sorts of groups just to get the work done. And I just Maya, I think I probably told you this too many times, but I don't think you can say it enough. I am so grateful for you, like as a whole person, because if it wasn't for you and everybody in that all 13 people in that WhatsApp group,
Hmm.
I don't think I would have made it through one, the pandemic, and two, just second year. Second year was rough.
Mm-hmm.
Second year did rough. It did rough. And if guys, and this is not to discourage you, but me just I tell you, it gonna get rough. But find some people who can help you go through it. It don't make sense to stay by yourself. Cause why? The whole of we are work towards one goal. You know hard to ask somebody for help you. You're gonna need the help sometime.
Yeah, the
And yeah, now we're here. So guys, you hear all of them gems them give you? Go orientation. Don't waste your time at school. Find people who can help you. And trust me, maybe you'll have a better university experience than I did. And I didn't have a really, really bad one. Some people have much worse story than me. But I just know people made my university experience a whole lot better.
yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that I did that. I mean, you didn't find out about WhatsApp groups till like your fourth year of university, which is crazy for me because I had a WhatsApp group from before I even started UA. So
Bro, sis,
yeah,
what?
so
What? What?
So
What?
UE
What?
WhatsApp
What?
groups were a staple to my UE career. I made my first friend in a UE WhatsApp group. Hey Rashida, if you're listening to the podcast.
No,
So
sir.
yeah.
And you know that's true because I do have I don't have any friends in high school currently because I mean I've been out of high school since 2014, but I had high school friends who were in WhatsApp groups before they came to UE, and
Yeah,
I
'cause I
couldn't
think it
understand.
became a thing. It was like an original idea. It became and then it became a whole thing. So I was in a
Mm,
WhatsApp group from before, and I knew things from that WhatsApp group the summer before I came to UE. So like by the time like I started, let's say I started a WhatsApp group in May. By the time it was July, or by the time it was June, people were asking questions in the chat. I don't reach UE yet, and I could answer them. Like I could literally tell them what to do. And
mm,
so in my first year, I became
wow, you were made for this
yeah.
student
So
leader
in my first
thing.
year, I became Maya from the group chat. Like literally, people came up to me in person and were like, "Oh, are you Maya?" I'm like, "I've never met you in my life. How do you know who I am?" It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people in
I,
your group
I think we could have
me.
managed that. I was always
Yeah.
anti people, but I mean,
And then
I
I
came
mean there are
around.
people in our year group now who have never met me in their life, and that's because some people come, some people go, things change, things adjust as time goes by. But yeah, like as in our first year life sciences group, our first year biology group, I made it. Like I just went out and was like, why is
Yeah.
there no group for this class? And I just made it. And then people started joining. And
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, as people needed information, I provided information as long as I had it. And that's really how, how it started. Yeah.
Hashtag proud pigeons. Big up on yourself. All I know.
Mm,
Now listen.
yeah.
So yeah, that was my that was my whole UE experience. But Maya, you've been at UE for
Yep.
3 years. During that time, you must come up with favorite a favorite course. Maybe it was because of the lecturer. Maybe it was because I don't know. Maybe the content was just fun. Was it like it doesn't even have to be like in animal bio because we also do psychology together. So like, do you have a favorite course?
So there are a couple courses that I would say I found advantageous for me. as a young developing black woman in today's society. So I would say in terms of life sciences, yeah, in terms of life sciences, I would say parasitology was probably my favorite life sciences course. Yeah, yeah, parasitology was definitely my
Mm.
favorite life sciences course. It was between.
So you like parasites?
It's not
I
that
don't think
I
that's a
like
good message to send.
parasites, but I don't know what it was about that course, but everything just kind of clicked. I mean, I like the lecturer, Professor Robinson does an awesome job. I love the organization, so I love that everything was uploaded from beforehand. So as if you guys can already tell,
Mm.
organization, love that. I don't like when people are disorganized. I don't know, like when I have to ask a bunch of questions and don't know what's going on, especially when it comes to my education. So the first thing being
Mm.
that, you know, everything was organized, everything was laid out for me. um I mean, the content was heavy, yes, and there was stuff that I just didn't understand, yes, but it just was one of those courses that, I don't know, it just clicked and I was like, hey, this is nice. I mean, some of those slides were hard to look at because when you see some of these diseases that people had,
Oh.
and then when you see
Mm.
that some of the things that they have are transmitted by, regular things out there, you're just like, okay, I never want to leave my house again. Yeah, I was like,
Outside.
okay, I never want
There
to
you
leave
go.
my house again. But I mean, after a while, I just developed an appreciation for the knowledge that I gained. I think outside of parasitology, I think my favorite psychology course would have to be abnormal psychology, which is where you learn about the different psychological
Okay.
disorders. And it was fun because for the so I mean, for persons who are not UA
I
students,
didn't do that one.
how that particular course was that we have lectures and then we have tutorials, right? And so in your tutorial, I guess maybe some people might call it seminars. We got to watch movies and then we watched the movies and we diagnosed what disorder the person in the movie had. Yeah, and it was fun trying to figure out and diagnose people. It was also fun having to read the DSM and actually looking at what are the characteristics to diagnose persons with a disorder as a psychologist, not a psychiatrist, because there is a distinction in medical professions when it comes to mental
Yeah.
health. And then as a person who likes to advocate for mental health too, it was just a fun course to learn about. Apart from those two, I would have to say probably law and golf, which is, I mean, that's controversial.
Ooh, I love that one too.
Really, because a lot of people did not like that course. And I mean, the course has changed.
I love
The
that
outline of the
course.
course has changed.
That course made me actually think about being a lawyer. I'm like, I can't just learn about this and then go back to like a regular life. This needs to be my life. But yeah, I get you.
But it was just learning about different things that are happening in this country that, I didn't necessarily know before. Like the fact that I think my friend told me this, that your parents are still legally responsible for you after you turn 18. Like they're responsible for you until you complete the
Yeah.
degree.
Once you're
Yeah,
a
they
student, I think, and if you don't prove to be like a terrible person,
they're
they're
legally
still
responsible
legally
for you
responsible for you.
turned
It's true. I
18,
realized
like
that.
that. And in our culture, it being like, yeah, yeah, big woman now, yeah, big man now, you can and it's like, well, no. And it's also whew, we're not gonna get into that, but that's a whole thing. But yeah,
Nah.
it's just, I was just learning about.
So what about the courses where I mean this year was different because everything was virtual. But the collection courses, I thought you
Oh,
would
like
have
the
loved
insect
those.
collection.
Like going out and yeah, having to take the pictures and actually I mean we didn't do a lot of going out because you know
Corona, coronavirus.
protocols, but yeah, like oh wait, you never
No,
go
I
on the
didn't go on
trip.
the
No,
ecology
it's
trip.
fine. That's
I'm
okay.
really upset about that. So there's a trip going
It's okay.
to
It was lovely.
Port Royal Marine Lab. Is it, or Discovery Bay Marine Lab in Jamaica, and staying over and getting to go to the shores and collect snails and look at this and look at that. I was upset I didn't get to go. I have never been on a field trip.
And yeah, we got to Not
Coronavirus
all.
has robbed me of all of my field trips, and I'm mad. I could have gone on so many. Yeah.
It was decent.
So
It was
yeah,
decent.
as it relates to your question about those in collection courses, as I said, and you guys will hear in the episode with Dr. Stevenson, I don't like creepy crawlies. I don't like insects. I see something in my room, and I will admit that I immediately want to kill it because I don't. It's in my personal space. So, but we don't want to promote ignorance in this place. I am an educated person that just does not, want things in my space. But sometimes we really shouldn't be killing these things because they help our environment. But yeah, so I just don't like the creepy colors. It was interesting, definitely, to see some of these up close and personal because I got a macro cam and I got to see them up close and personal. But that wasn't. I don't. Yeah, those weren't
Yeah.
necessarily my favorites. Not gonna lie. Going outside and walking and looking and recognizing that these are parts of my everyday life and not just something that I see in a textbook. Definitely, that was interesting. But those weren't necessarily my favorites.
I get you. And that's okay. I
Yeah.
mean, we all have different favorites. That's why we have the capacity to choose favorites. So I'm not mad at you. You do you, boo.
Yeah.
All right, your question. I have no more for you. All
Okay,
right, five
so
questions.
I guess my final question is what are your plans? Because this is our last semester, just 5 more months. What are your plans after you finish your degree?
Ha. um. Well, the immediate plan was to go to vet school, but with the economic state of my pocket, um, I will be forced to get a job. Hopefully, I what I really want to do is work with maybe one of the government agencies, most likely NEPA or the UDC or just really anybody that will take me. Really, I'd like to get some experience working in the field with animals. I realized that I've fallen in love with small critters like the pests
Oh,
and even the insects. I have developed a liking for them. So I would love to like go out into the field and work with those. I'm actively try like applying for those types of jobs right now. And hopefully one will come through by May. But yeah, if I had the money immediately, I would go straight to vet
girl,
school.
you need
Though,
to hook
no
me up
question
on where
about
you're
it.
getting those jobs from because I would like to know. Um, yeah, that sounds like a plan though. Like as I was saying earlier, it's just a case of we have to adjust because if there's anything that 2020, that coronavirus, that life has taught us, um, is that adjustment is necessary. I mean, even before this whole 2020 ruined
Yeah.
my plans thing happened, if you talk to persons who are older, a lot of the times some stuff that they ended up doing or career paths that they went down, and you guys will hear um in some of these episodes were buck ups. These were people reaching out to them. These were random things that they found out, hey, I actually like this isn't that bad, you know. And so
Yeah. And hopefully we get Dr.
yeah.
Camilla Trench in one of these episodes. But I'm so sad you missed that ecology trip because that whole story he gave us about how he got into his field. Trust me, guys, it's not always the obvious thing where oh you're doing a degree, so you have to stick to that degree. Sometimes you have to look for the opportunities
Yeah,
outside of your degree. You don't have to look even too far out. Sometimes you work with pests and some and you end up start work with bat. Cause I mean bats are pets, but you think about bat and you're like, you think about pests and you're just like, oh, ants and them something there. But sometimes you can look at the bats and sometimes you can volunteer to work with your lecturers. Sometimes some big opportunities can come out of that. You never know.
yeah, definitely. Definitely, that's how I feel. Like you at this point in my life, if there was anything, how people say, if you could ever go back to your younger self and give an advice, I would say I would tell younger Maya that some of the people who are telling her, hey, your life doesn't have to be set in stone, they're right. I mean, to be fair, some of the people telling me that my life don't have to be set in stone were also telling me what they wanted me to do with my life, which is not that's not really how you do that. But your life really, like, a girl in grade 6 should not be looking for universities online and where she's going to live. Like, I literally went on Google Maps and tried to figure out where I'm going to live, what would be the expected cost of living. I was deep in a
Wow.
rabbit hole trying to plan out
Wow.
every step of my life
Wow.
from I was 11. And that's crazy because going from that mentality to
That's
going
crazy.
into university, and that's definitely why I think, I mean, not everybody is going to go to university. Definitely. Not everybody. I'm one of those persons that believes not university is not for everybody. I mean, some persons will do it, some persons will not. However, what
Yeah.
university does, whether or not you leave with a degree, is it teaches you to think outside of the realm that you have previously thought about. And that doesn't mean that all of your beliefs are going to change, but it does open your mind up to thinking outside of how you would have thought before. Um, people, when you give first
Absolutely.
year's advice and you're like, oh, give me advice and don't be afraid of failure because I mean, obviously, you fail, you're going to feel sad, you're going to want to cry, and that's fine. Cry, be angry, punch a pillow, scream into the pillow, into the abyss, or whatever. But at the same time, you have to recover. That failure will last, and may sting, and you may feel guilty, and all those things. But after a while, you have to recover from it because that's just one stage of your life. And when you're 50 odd, you will not remember the one time that you got a F in your course, or that one time you got an F will not matter.
Oh,
I remember
true.
when we were in high school, and like we're from the
That's fact.
Caribbean, so I don't know if anybody outside the Caribbean is listening, but we're from the Caribbean, so we do Cape, um, and we do CSEC before we do Cape. And when we were doing CSEC and Cape, we were busting our brains to learn specific information. We did had World of Prose and World of Poetry, and we had to memorize 15 poems and memorize 15 stories and all of these things. Now I
Mm,
bet you can't even tell me word for word one of those poems or the themes from those poems, etc. etc. And that's not to say that, you
fact.
didn't learn, but when you reach to a certain level, what you got in CXC no longer matters. What you did in Cape no
Yeah.
longer matters because you've been able to achieve things despite that. And I understand, and I don't want to discredit how somebody feels in the moment, because you may be a high school student listening to this and be like, but I'm still doing Cape, I'm still, and it's fine. It's of course it's going to matter to you now, but my point is that
Yeah, I mean, it's the
exactly,
biggest challenge you've
yeah,
ever faced. So, of
yeah,
course, we understand why you feel that way. And the same thing with GSAT. When we did a GSAT,
mm,
GSAT was the
not
biggest thing
even
in our
GSAT
life.
anymore.
Like, if you failed GSAT, it felt
It's
like
not
life
even
was
GSAT
done.
anymore, it's PEP. So it's like, yeah, yeah.
Right. This is
It's
how
like,
far
yeah,
we've
that's the
come.
biggest obstacle you face right now. Definitely. And yes, you are allowed to
Yeah. So,
feel, weird.
and put your all into it. By no means disregard how
Yeah.
big it is, because it is big. It's just when you get
Yeah,
over that
yeah,
hurdle, you
life is bigger,
realize
and
life is
there are
bigger.
more things out there, and there are more things to life than grades. There are more things to life than school, and you can get an education without having to be in an institutionalized, school setting like a college or like a high school. And that there are different paths that people have to take. Some of our parents
Yeah.
never went to university, but they're still successful. Some of our some billionaires, and
Exactly.
that does not mean that you don't go to university specifically because you think that not going to university. The point is that no matter what path you take, that's your unique path, and you're allowed to take it. And you're allowed to, if you feel disappointed at one hurdle,
Yeah.
you're allowed to feel disappointed, but you have to get back up again. These things will happen to you, and it's perfectly fine for you to feel out however you want to feel about those situations, but you also have to recover from them. So I don't want to color anybody and make them feel like, oh my god, you know um that means that you can complain about every little thing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we have to allow people to identify with their emotions first. And once they do, they eventually will reckon with different things in their life, because everybody underneath the sun, no matter how unbothered somebody may seem, has their woes, and everybody will have to get through them.
So yeah, guys, this has been our
We've listened
podcast.
for a while
Thanks for
now.
listening.
Your poor ears. Well, thank you if you made it to this length of the podcast, and I hope it benefited somebody who was listening.
And tune in with us next week. We're gonna
Actual
have real
people,
guests. Like, yeah.
yeah.
What's up, Maya?
We are
Yeah.
talking about.
We're gonna be
So
tackling real issues.
our podcast tackles issues about the environment, zoology, botany, anything life sciences related, because we are life scientists, or we will be once we get this degree. So stay
Now we are.
stay
Girl,
tuned
we
as
are.
we talk with guests. Some of our guests will be lecturers, some of our guests will be people who are working in life sciences, some people will be doctors, some people will be Mr. and Mrs. So we have a whole heap of ghosts guests ready to
We have a whole host of
listen to.
guests for you.
So thank you for tuning in with us, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Real Life Podcast. Follow us on our social media pages, Real Life Pod 876 on Twitter and the Real Life Podcast 876 on Instagram and Facebook. Remember, you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Tune in next week, where real life scientists tackle real life issues.